Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Hashem,
Yahweh
Yahweh
Shai,
Shai,
Ba'ashem,
Hashem Kodash.
Kodash. And then we're going to say double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And
Double
shalom
honors.
to the sincere elect teaching the truth and faith and sincerity. And hey, man, just a quick video. Us two brothers just want to speak on and go, go into. Well, it's spiritual because the inspiration of this topic being even AI knows that we're under the curses was actually birthed from a conversation that I was having after camp with a couple of the brothers, and we were just talking about the trials and tribulations that basically every Jake goes through. Basically,
Mm,
every Jake family upon this earth can tell you a fucked up story about things they're dealing with in their homes and families, or family members they know, and things that family members have dealt with. Or whoever is dealt, Jake having family members that deal with, let's say drug abuse, or there being a person in your
mm-hmm.
family line that's unfortunately being touched as a child, or Jake's father's not being there, or father's being murdered, or whatever it is that Jake deal with. It's like in every Jake family, Jake have a story. And one word that came up was that term, um, generational curses,
Mm,
and it's spiritual because when that term got mentioned during the conversation, the first thing I just said was, it's spiritual that, like, that word, that term, like Jake now, like, always speak about, like, let's break these curses by, obviously not doing things that maybe their fathers had done unto them, and so on and so forth. And I was like, you know what? Let's ask Chat GBT, what group of people is that term popular with? And it's funny because if you go into it, it's just mentioning Jake.
mm-hmm.
Like, that term of breaking these curses, or breaking that curse and this curse. It's like it's popular with Jake saying it because the spirit bears witness that
Yes,
that,
sir.
that we are the children of God. That's why even if Jake know it or not, they're always speaking about things that's based upon the scriptures. So, bro, if you got a point that you want to mention as well, or something that you want to say, say it, man.
Can't get me even you the point you just made at the end there, it makes me think of, you got the precept where basically it's like, Jake may not know certain things of the scriptures, but it's just in them in the spirit, right? And the spirit is just
Mm.
like you we through, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Even the point you're speaking about, though this applies to, like, doing certain laws and certain things in the
Yeah,
scriptures,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where it speaks about in Romans how the Gentiles which have not the law, you know, these are a law unto themselves because they instinctively do things that are based upon the scriptures. But spiritually as well, that point can also be applied to the fact that Jake just speak about things that pertain to the scriptures, not actually knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like what us brothers, was also talking about is how, this idea of Jake going to therapy and stuff to, like, heal from past traumas that they may have gone through as a child, or or in their homes and their family. It's like it's popularized with Jake.
Mm.
He, so of course, goes to therapy, but I'm saying, like, now it's basically like a fast trend with Jake, because as a people we've been through the most. In fact, let's start with Daniel 9 and 12, where it speaks about under the whole heaven have not been done, like unto
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
unto,
yeah.
unto,
Beautiful
unto the
precept.
people, man. Yeah.
Yeah. This is Daniel 9 and 12.
Hmm.
Um Let me see if I can.
Yeah, actually start from 11, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Or,
Um,
or if you can start higher,
yeah,
start
yeah.
higher.
Yeah, so Daniel 9 from 9 says, "To the Lord our power belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. Neither have we obeyed the voice of Yahweh our
Yeah,
God."
and that's deep. Like, though we have rebelled against him, because the things that we go through as a people, it's not random, bro. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like you know, like how you know how, like, and it's spiritual because Jake bond with each other like in the past trials and tribulations and trauma that they've been through.
Mhm.
That's why, like, you know, though, it's off, but that's why, Jake, like these, hood music, and just not only to say there's just hood music music by itself. That's why it's like Jake have a habit of making songs that just tells their story of,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
catching hell, basically.
Yep.
Brenda got
Yeah,
her,
big thing.
baby. And if you look at the whole concept of blues, you know,
Hmm.
that's just Jake's telling the story of catching
Lamenting.
hell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lamenting. You even have a book called Lamentations. You know,
yeah,
big, big.
like, yeah, go on, bro. Sorry.
So I was gonna know, just because as the brother's going into, man, we Jake just been catching hell, right? And then
Yes,
we'll sing about it, try lift our moods, right? And everything
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's when you look at everything that Jake's been through, as we're about to read, like, these other nations couldn't hack it, man. Hey, look at the
Hmm.
2008 financial crisis. He was starting to lose his job, started jumping off of buildings, man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's true.
Hey,
And
what's
even go on, bro.
so, like, I always forget who says it, who said it, but it was the thing that apostles repeat. It was like, man, I think it was actually Apostle Todd that said it. It's like, in the base we're gonna end up having to get like Edomites from outer space, right? The way we're gonna be working them that first day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Nah, it's true, man. It's true. It's like, because Jake been through a lot, bro. Every Jake can tell you the story of their like, either a cousin or a brother or a sister with mental health issues, and
hmm,
going
yep,
in and out of homes. Like, even
yep,
me, man, a, a, a cousin of mine that, we was very close. He had passed away maybe a couple months ago. You know what I mean, with a heart attack. But he he was a bit healthy, but mentally he was all, sometimes he'll go missing. He'll be put in a home, a mental institution, on meds, going in, and just throughout his whole life, just the stress of dealing with him and his situation, and not getting help from Esau, and just the whole nine, right? It seems like a movie, but there's so many other Jakes that have been through the same thing.
mm,
Jake's parents on drugs and shit.
yep.
Or
Addictions.
yeah, problems, man. And it's just like Jake get to the point where they're just comfortable in their trauma, man. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They're gonna the only people that made go in jail and catching hell. Cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm from what they call the hood, but, like, I live just outside the actual hood block itself. And I remember, man, as a child, obviously, because of all my friends and my family and people I know who are in the streets, I kind of used to want to live in the block, in the front line of the hood. You know what I mean? As a kid.
Yeah.
But then
The,
after,
the,
I got a bit older and wiser, I'm like, I thank the Lord. I said, I'm glad I was never on. I'm glad
I'm
I didn't live
glad.
on the block. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because it's. But then the point is, it's like through
The
them curses
precept.
and then the trauma Jake deal with. Jake are comfortable. Get comfortable, not are comfortable, but they actually institutionalize their mind to be comfortable with such wicked states, man. Which is the
Hmm.
curses. Go
Yep.
ahead, bro.
It says Isaiah 51 and 20, thy sons have fainted, they lie at the head of all the streets. As a wild bull in
Hmm.
the net, they are full of the fury of Yahweh, they rebuke the rebuke of the most high of that.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah,
It's talking about the
yeah.
streets.
Speaking it, bro. Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
was
man. You know, and it's like that's why that Psalms 119 speaks about how shall a young man cleanse his way by taking heed to our word, because we, we come in this faith from different walks of life and know that the works that we was involved in or saw growing up or whatever was just the works of darkness, and that's why we
Mm,
don't glorify these things,
that's it.
because brothers come from all different types of black backgrounds, man. But despite our backgrounds, we actually don't go and glorify that shit. So,
Exactly.
which is why, like, dudes that like being pegged, right? That they all try to that
Bring
dude
that.
try to push, try and be like a Hebrew Israelite, like thug gangster, which is
Hmm.
nah, man. That's not the spirit that we're supposed to push, man. You know,
Exactly.
hey, and
I mean,
yeah, go, bro.
so like, yeah, I was just saying, really, what we was talking about how brothers are from different walks of life. I kind of look at that as the Lord basically just showing, that to people still on the other side that hey, it don't matter where you're from, it don't matter who you are, because people get weighed down in their so it says let not your sins weigh you down. People, yeah, but I've done this, in my life,
Mm,
this, that, and the other, right? But then when you see a brother that's like, maybe like, look, man, I was hella into the Christian church, right? Someone may be like, oh man, so this demon, this Christian church demon can come off of me, or it may be a thing of like, oh, I was, hella on the streets, and then
mm,
hearing that if someone on the streets, that you got all of them influences around you, you may be like, you know what? So if that brother, that elder, or whoever it is, can come off the streets, and yeah, I can come off the streets.
yeah, 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 yeah. Which is why the scripture speaks about the Lord came to like save those that was sick, man.
Hmm.
Like, those that understood they was fucked up but trying to get mercy. Like how you got the comparison between the publican and the what's the name, the Levite and the publican.
Yeah.
When in that parable where the publican was like, bro, I got nothing to say. I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Please have mercy upon me. But then you obviously had the publican that was in a whole another spirit, man. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
hello, you know what I mean, as well, to the brothers on the comment board.
Shalom,
I see
shalom.
the brother just posted the same scripture that we're about to go to in Daniel, man. The brother,
Hmm.
Yawana, that's his name.
Hmm.
That's his name. All right. So let's go back to that one brother, Shine Daniel
Yep.
9.
So this is back in Daniel 9 and 10. It says, neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our power to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by the
All Israel.
but
Yep.
yeah. No, so no one can come and be like, the laws, the laws, the laws, right? Because the scripture there is plain. All Israel have would you
Mm,
call it, transgress, which makes me get this precept as well, right, real quick. This is Romans 3 and 23. It says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High, right?
mm,
But yeah,
that's it.
back in Daniel's 9 and 11, it says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we sinned against him.
Yeah,
And
because we sinned against him. It's like, It's just that misfortune. You know what I mean? Like the curses in Deuteronomy is just the spirit of misfortune, of just hell. It comes in various ways, man. It's an energy. You know what I mean? It's an energy, man. Which is why I'm sure most brothers that when they first really understood Deuteronomy 28 and was reading it for the first time, you know, not saying you exactly did, but you probably will tears to your eyes when you read it. Like, yeah, well, yeah, that's this. Well, it's exactly what I go through, man.
Yeah,
No,
that's it. And that,
no, Jake family's perfect, man. You see it,
mhm.
there, bro.
Yeah, no, because as you were saying that, because he's one of our main enemies, Heyman
Mm.
Malone, right? And it's not talking about that, and it's like, yeah, but as we was kind of going into, that's as Jake, we can like quote unquote bond over our certain experiences, but when,
Yeah,
like for
bro.
instance, when you read that I shall be evil towards thy brother, bro, as a Jake, you like, bro, like come on. Like, because that's exactly
Yeah,
what it is. You see like an Edomite, like actually we've seen it. You get certain places. You was talking about, a particular area, right? But it's just they're like, bro, Edomites live in that area now, and they're calm.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, bro. I've seen Edomites. I've seen faggot, freak Edomites just stroll past, calm.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Same. And would you call it? The area that I used to live before as well. Would you call when
Mhm.
remember when I moved out? Bro
Yeah,
was
yeah,
telling me,
yeah,
yo, back in the days that was ends, right? But the last time I
yeah,
was there, I was walking around. I was like, blood clot. You know
yeah.
what I'm
Shit.
saying?
Even remember, bro, couple who when the Lord put the Spirit upon us to first come in this faith. When we were doing the video, we had the
Mm,
Bible in
mm,
our
mm.
hand and got robbed at knife point. But there was
Yeah,
other
yeah.
Edomites walking in the park that nigga that those two niggas didn't go and fuck with. But
Exactly. Yeah,
actual brothers reading the Bible with the Bible in their hand, we got fucked with, and
hmm
not niggas, not Edomites in the park that was walking their dog.
that's it. That's it. Or the ones that were playing football. It was either football or basketball in the cage, and that.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
just there, like as a J, you can resonate with that was a word. You can resonate with that, but Damon, it don't mean anything to because those aren't his experiences because he ain't one of us.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly, exactly. Now let's let's go into the information that I had mentioned that inspired the video, and basically the question got asked to chat GBT, man, to state what group of people is it popular with. So let's go. So
Yep. So it's
so let's so you know what? Let's um let's scroll down, Baba Kishar, a bit, yeah. Let's scroll down to let's yeah, just keep scrolling down because there's a point where I asked it, yeah, from there.
Says ethnically, the term
Ethnically.
generational curses tends to be most commonly used and culturally resonant among the following groups: African
Yeah,
and African.
basically chat GBT got asked, like, ethnically speaking, what group of people is the term generational curse coming with? You know what I mean? Because at first I asked it before and it gave me other, it was kind of bit up and down. So I specifically asked it
Mm-mm-mm.
ethnically, what group of people is it coming with, man? Good.
Yep, it says African and African diaspora communities, so called. It says African
And it's
American communities.
and hey, it's spiritual that says diaspora because that's a like another video that like I made in the past where I said it's like when you actually type in the word the diaspora, it's actually popular with two groups of people. You know what I mean? In history, it's
Mm-hmm.
you know the 12 tribes of Israel, Jews, right, and the people who was in slavery, man, on slave ships.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
spiritual.
You,
It it all ties onto Jake's, man.
Yeah, and do you know what? Even as I was just scrolling through this as well. Well, it mentions Judah first,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Which is
You know.
spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, because the scripture says, shall but reference it says, well, as an example, say tense of Judah first, right, and then also
Mm,
Judah being the head tribe, right?
mm,
So it says,
yeah.
the concept is widely used, especially in quote Christian context, right? It says it is often applied to cycles of traumas, poverty, abuse, or addiction, frequently linked to historical legacies like slavery, segregation,
You
and
can't
systemic racism.
you can't make that up, bro. Like this, this, this is chat GBT that uses the machine learning and scans through history. You know what I mean? It's fed a lot of information. And even it had to, come with the conclusion who these
Mm-hmm.
generational curses are coming with. And the Jake say it's basically like the new Jake phrase now. Hey man, it's important to break them cycles and
Yeah, them cycles.
generational, curses. It's
Them
like
traumas.
yeah, it's like now, like if you're a father, a Jake father that takes care of their kids, that's what they Jake say. Yeah, it's good, man, to break them curses. That's what Jake actually say. It's all of them boards now. On comment boards. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Jake say, man. Because that's what we're going through. We're going through the
Yeah,
curses, man.
it's the reals.
Good. Yeah.
So it says continental African communities. It says in many African cultures, for example, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa.
And and, and,
Right.
and and that's why I found spiritual because it mentioned Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. Now we know the 12 tribes of Israel have been scattered all throughout the world, all throughout Northeast and Central Africa, West Africa, North, South. But I found the spiritual that it mentioned Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa,
Mm-hmm.
because those regions are key, popularized regions of where Jake was, man,
Mm-hmm.
and is, you
Yeah.
know. So it's funny. It actually mentions Judah in Babylon, but then also mentions the scattered Judah, Benjamin, Levi.
Mm-hmm.
That's spiritual, man. Yeah.
Yep. So then it says even outside of Christianity, there's a strong belief in ancestral influences, family curses, or spiritual consequences passed down. Those beliefs are
Which
sometimes.
which which the ancestral influences and family curses or spiritual consequences passed down is
Mm-hmm.
is not outside of Christianity because it's in the scriptures.
Yeah.
In fact, if you scroll up to the first question I asked, and it mentions white Christians and or Christian communities. If you read verse 2.2 in that point one, look at what it says there.
Yep. Says this. The idea is often based on certain Bible verses, for example, Exodus 20:5, Deuteronomy 5
Which
and 9.
which that Exodus 20 and 5 deals with how you get judged for the third and fourth generation. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
if you read a bit about from like 4 to 5 or whatever it is, it speaks about to visit the like iniquity,
Mm-hmm.
upon the fathers, upon the children, to the third and fourth generation, which is deals with reincarnation because of you coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's spiritual in itself. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, it says interpreted to mean that the sins or consequences of ancestors can affect descendants.
Exactly, because and it's like when we look at the curse of the law, right? The law,
Mm-hmm.
statutes, and commandments. It applies unto us all, right? Because you know, the we took that oath upon ourselves and upon
Mm-hmm.
our seed too. You know, just how the all 12 tribes going to inherit the blessing. It's how all 12 tribes like inherited the curses. In fact, it says in uh, Deuteronomy, "You and your king shall go into slavery, man."
Mm-hmm.
So even the king wasn't a set wasn't exempt
Mm-hmm.
of the curses, man. You
That's
know what
right.
I mean? And it's like even though King David did that wickedness and that judgment came upon him in his time, with his son Absalom bugging out
Mm-hmm.
and doing all that wickedness. It's like it was judgment from the like immediate Lord's judgment. But when you think about it, he was basically going through that spirit of the curses, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because of the flesh, it's like that home, that home dysfunction. You know what I mean? His son's bugging out. You know what I mean? He his own people are coming like against him, man. He's on a run.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that was his judgment. But the sole fact that he's a part of the 12 tribes of Israel, like and in the flesh, that was just the whole spirit of the curses anyway, man.
Yeah,
You know?
because because when you sin, right, there's a judgment for it, right? It says,
Exactly.
grab this, Mark 7:9. I'll bear the indignation of Yahweh because I've sinned against him, right? Until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me, he'll bring me forth to light, and I shall behold his righteousness. The point that I wanted to back the brother up, so, we bear the indignation, the judgment of the Lord, right, because of sin, right, and because of our own sin, right. That's why you also read,
Mm,
what is it, Job 4:7, whoever perished being innocent, right. So it's like, wait there, so you get a baby that was born and is dead at birth, like
mm.
stillborn. It's like, that he's so he's not done anything good or bad, but it's like, no, but actually in his past life, that was just a judgment,
Exactly.
for the sins of his past life.
Yep. Carry on, bro.
So it says, yeah, but so continental African communities, says these beliefs are sometimes merged with Pentecostal Christianity, as it says. The next point, to Latino Hispanic communities in many Latin American
And bro,
countries.
AI could have mentioned any other people, but that's
Hmm.
basically the two head tribes of the kingdoms, man. The northern
Hmm.
kingdom and the southern kingdom. It's
That's right.
basically Judah, like in the Ephraim, man.
Hmm.
So even AI knows that. Here it is. AI knows Jake is under the curses, but Jake tries and scoff at being under the curses.
Hmm.
Of course, you know what I mean. It's like Jake will fight tooth and nail. No, it's not talking about that. It's not
Yeah.
talking about that. But even
Which,
AI is making that link.
yeah, which, even to be fair, even as you're saying, I was thinking the main reason Jake say that is because it's excluding Esau, right? Because
Exactly.
we're using it to be like, look, this is proof that we're the people and F Esau. So they're trying to find a way to still include Esau, but they deep down know what it is. They haven't, once again, they
Exactly.
have an uncle that's a drunk. They have an
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
it, an auntie that's a hoe, right? They have,
Yep.
all of these different things, right?
Yep.
They've encountered bad breed Jakes, felt,
Yep.
that, when you go, you turn a corner and you just see a load of the mandem just like posted up, right? Your quarters
Yep.
all spikes a little bit, he's like, oh shit, what's going to happen there, right?
Yep.
And then you go past it, Spirit of the Lord, as protecting and that. But it's just like, that's the Jake, quote unquote Jake experience, man. And then all these
Yeah.
guys that are
Yeah.
coming up against it, right? They ultimately, they're lying to themselves because they've want all of those things, they've experienced it, man.
Yeah. Last hired, first fired.
Hmm.
You know.
Are worried about what bag with holes. Now tell me, Jake. Look, I'll find the numbers, right? Would you call it
Mm.
how long a dollar lasts in the black, I hate that word, black community, right? So it says, let me tell me this ain't bad with holes. I mean, that's just even the way that Jake is. So I almost broke that, right? So this is a Black Star Project study on the racial wealth gap calculates that a dollar circulates 6 hours in the so-called black
That is
community,
horrendous.
20 days
That
in
is
the Jewish
horrendous.
community, and 30 days in the Asian community. Right now,
That is horrendous.
it's horrendous, right? So that's why it's like for Jake to then go out and say they ain't ain't feeling the curses, like, bruh, like we all have money issues, right? That's why bruh, we all have money issues. That's the point, man. We all have, even Jakes that make it into multi-millionaire status. They've got family, friends, or like relatives that are through, having to
Yeah,
constantly bail out someone.
yeah. Even just earning money or being someone of wealth, and in comparison to Jake, because comparison to Esau, you're still broke. But like, let's just say you're doing somewhat decent in comparison to your like immediates, your family, because they're fucked up. You're still fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's why in sports and entertainment, or when you have these Jakes from like let's say
Mm-hmm.
the west coast of Africa or these countries, like a prime example, there was recently um a football player like in the UK. I'm sure my brothers in Babylon might not know him if you don't follow football, but his name is Ivan
Tony.
Tony, right? Yeah. Now he went to play for a different team in Saudi, and people was criticizing it, saying, oh, why doesn't he stay over here like in England and play for the teams in England?" But the problem is, well, the point he made was, look, man, like I'm gonna go to the Saudi league and I'm gonna get paid like 5 times the amount of money and no tax.
Mm.
And it's like people were still expecting him to stay in England and play for these English teams. But the point is like, hey, man, you don't know his fucking circumstance
Mm-hmm.
or of how many people, because it's like Jake, like was said by Floyd. If you're a rich nigga, you're still a nigga. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
poor nigga, you're still a nigga. So it's like I'm sure with him and his immediate lifestyle, he's probably got 20 family members that
Mm-hmm.
try and ask him for money and leech off him, man.
That's
Because it's
it.
the cursing, man.
That's it.
Which is why when the kingdom of I mean, heaven comes, that's when and our bodies change, our flesh will change. It's when them curses will be officially
Yeah.
not on us anymore,
Ye-
because it ain't about you just being rich. Eh, It's about you and your whole people being good.
Yeah. Being exactly. All of us being good, not just a very, very, very select few. You know.
Yep. Yeah. Carry on, bro. Babusha.
Yeah, so it's Latino Hispanic communities in many Latin American countries and among US Latinos, especially those who practice Catholicism, Pentecostalism, or syncretic religions, the idea of curses passed through family lines is common.
Uh,
You know,
yep.
so it's
Now,
basically
yes, sorry, go on.
no. As I was going to carry on reading.
Yeah, go on.
So jump down. So it says, so one of the things I found interesting is it's made a mistake here by putting, because that's Caribbean diaspora is basically up with number one, right? But basically, kind of found it once again interesting that it's gone Judah, right? Southern Kingdom, Northern Kingdom, and then the Gentiles, basically.
Yeah, basically, which is why I found spiritual. I was like, you
Yeah,
can't make that up, bro. You can't
yeah,
make that up, bro. Good.
you know. So it says white evangelical Christians among white evangelical or Pentecostal
Which
Christians,
which
but
which are them white evangelical Christians? The, 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 the apostles were said for a long time, man. A lot of them are Jake,
Mhm.
like in the South. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Good.
Particularly in southern or rural parts of the US, the concept is also popular.
Exactly, man.
Right? This is it's often used to explain inherited sin patterns, family dysfunction, or spiritual
See,
bondage.
fa- family dysfunction,
Dysfunction.
when you think about family dysfunction in regard to a Jake, what do you have? The one Jake fucking uncle that gets too drunk and you
Hmm.
don't really trust him around your niece, and then the the the, the, the auntie that's a hoe, right? The
Mm.
mothers that's got four kids by five men. You know what I mean? It don't make sense, to have four kids by five men, you know. But that's what he got, man. Because there's there's four guys that are the guy, the dad of their four children, and
Mm-hmm.
there's the fifth one that's been told a lie. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You know what I mean? He's been lied to,
Yeah,
and then you got
for real, for
you,
real.
the pastor and preacher that's supposedly a spiritual father, but he's touching the kids. The young uh 2/3 brother that's just a nigger and won't stop being a nigger in the streets. You know what I mean? It's like every Jake family, Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, even the scattered, you all see it. You just see them family patterns, man. Because it's the curses, bro.
Yeah, the scripture says they shall pursue thee.
Pursue thee,
You know.
you
So
know.
it says
Okay.
Caribbean communities in places like Jamaica, Haiti, and Trinidad, both Christian and Afro spiritual beliefs, includes strong ideas about generational curses, sometimes with a more mystical or ritualistic element.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You
Hmm.
see. So which is all spiritual, man. So hey, that's just them curses, man.
That's it.
So that's why we read these things, right? And and it's part of us waking up, man, knowing why we go through what we go through. Because just going through what we go through and not knowing fucks with you. So that's why Jake
Mm-hmm.
try and do wickedness and like an evil to break the curses, because it just don't make, because from a logical standpoint it don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just all just dealing with the shit.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
know, that's why Jake grew up looking up to films like Paid in Full and Boys in the Hood, and just like it
Mm.
just you fucking it's the curses, bro.
Yep.
But you know what? Let's get Baruch. Uh, what's that? Two, when they land the captivity, they will remember themselves and think upon these things. And then we'll read the rest of Daniel 9, because we didn't finish that, and then just get a couple of the scriptures on the comment board and close out. I'm on a plantation, but spirit internet is
Yep.
too long. Good.
This is Baruch 2 and 30. It says, For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff necked people. But
No, no,
the
no.
land,
Bible shall start up like two verses prior.
Salakia.
Yeah, yeah,
So
there.
it says, As thou spakest, in Baruch 2:28, as thou spakest by thy servant Moses in the day when thou didst command him to write the law before the children of Israel, saying, If you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them.
Hmm.
For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves.
Yeah, and one way that we remember ourselves is to remember what we did for our
Mhm.
forefathers. Carry on.
Yep, says, and shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I'll give them an heart and ears to hear,
Uh-huh.
and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name.
But that's what we're doing. Go ahead.
And return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, but they shall remember the way of their fathers, which have sinned before the Lord.
Yeah, and that's what we do, man. We actually read the way of our forefathers and the things they did and the curses we go through, and we see, man, all of this is happening because of what we did in past time, which is why we need mercy, man. All right, Babu Shah, let's go to that Daniel 9.
hmm So it's back in Daniel 9 and 11 says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him. It says, and
Yep.
he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem.
Yeah, man, and it's real because when you look at Jake's life, bro, like, you know, if every Jake, like, like if every Jake family, did a movie on their family history and the struggles they've had to deal with, everything is going to be a movie, man.
Mm,
You know, like, which is why it's like, it's like, e- even if we observe like these, shows that Jake loved, it's just Jake's story, man.
mm.
Like, even like the show they called Tyrone, that was a documentary, bro.
Yeah, the
Of
documentary they cloned Tyrone.
yeah, the documentary they called Tyrone, because that's Jake's life.
Yeah,
It's
and yeah,
and Jake go through the same thing consistently. That
hmm
like, it almost feels like you just clones of each other, man.
exactly, and that's why, like, I like the way that they basically show on the other side of town, in another part of the country completely, right? A similar kind of Jake and the same kind of spirit, the same kind of archetype, right? Living the same life, because that's exactly what's going on with Jake, man, right?
That's it. That's
You
it. So
know.
that's why, it just ties into the lesson, man. I had to ask AI, his thoughts in it, and it just picked out Jake, even the scattered ones, because
hmm
just because you're scattered, it don't mean that you can escape the curses, man. You
hmm
know, just because you're so cool white, or you're Somali, or wherever whatever flesh you're in,
hmm
the fact that you have the seed of Israel, it ties it to the curses, man.
That's right.
All right. So you know what? Let's read the couple scriptures that the brother quoted in the chat, but start from the one Romans 8 and 16, and just read the last couple, because we can go into the whole Deuteronomy 28, but the brother's gonna go through that in their time.
hmm
All right.
So this is Romans 8:16 says the Spirit itself also beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High.
Yeah, and the spirit, you know, is the understanding that comes with this book. And Jake vibe with his book, to the words that speak their spirit, their life. And that's why we're the people of the Bible, man.
Mm,
And for Jake's, you know, spirit to, to do the praise and I can worship, or even just, Jake's vibe to, read what's going on in the Bible and understand the curses, man.
mm,
We're the people of the book. Go ahead.
yep. Next one, Isaiah 42:22 says, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a
Yeah,
spoil.
Good.
and none for a spoil, and none saith restore.
Yeah, man, and this whole system that we're in is is that pit, man, that a prison, you know, right? Where we've been scattered. But Bubble Shah, read the Deuteronomy ones. He also read as well, just a couple verses that he's got.
Okay. Yep. So this is so let me scroll up. Right. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 45. It's in the NLT. It says, if you refuse to listen to the Lord Yahweh your power and to obey the commandments and decrees he has given you, all these curses will pursue and overtake you until you are destroyed. Verse 46, these horrors will serve as a sign and a warning among you and your
Mhm.
descendants forever.
Yeah, man, and that's exactly what we're going through, man. And you know what? The right word there is used, man. Horrors, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Jake's life is a horrible. Even though you might try and hide it, with alcohol and substance abuse and drug abuse, or just black culture, you can't hide away from these horrors, man.
God.
That's why the mindset we're supposed to have is to get mercy from these horrors, man.
Mm-hmm.
And becoming a newborn creature, man.
That's
You
it.
know, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Hey, that's just the one the point wanted to touch on. I found it spiritual. Brothers found it spiritual that that term generational curses is like it's not popular. When's the last time you heard of Edomite that's doing good talk about the generational curses? When's the last time you heard of fucking Elamite that's got a shop in all these hoods talk about generational curses? It's just Jake, man.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, with that, hope and pray you're edified. If you got anything else to say, bro?
Yeah, that's it, bro.
All right, that we're gonna say your praises be to how about you now,
How
Shabbat,
about you, Shab Shukar
the one is supposed to be most times, and next time we're gonna
Kadesh?
say another one.